just that defensive effort in the second half. I mean, every drive, the game's on the line. You know, what did you guys do to just, you know, not let that pressure get to you guys?
No, I think it was fun. It was fun for the guys. I mean, obviously there was things that didn't go our way out there defensively. We knew we had to stop the run, and I think those guys have done a great job all year just playing together and not losing their cool, even when, you know, we gave up a couple explosives that, you know, weren't very beneficial to us. But those guys, they stayed in it. They had confidence in their prep that they were going to be able to finish, and I think that they, as the game go on, they got more and more confidence.
How about Jake Ripp, what he kind of answered the call for you guys in that game? And Spencer was saying, you know, he goes into that thing basically having to know 3 different positions.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. You know, we were once again battling some injury just like everybody else in the country is. So we knew we had to play a little bit more nickel that game. Wyoming has a good rushing attack. You know, Harrison Whaley back. He's a really good running back. So we knew we had to stop that. So we asked Jake to do some different things this week, and no flinch by him. He went in there and he operated. And obviously Marco played, I think, every rep in the game. Maybe he got a couple off, but pretty close. And he's operated really well at a couple different positions too. So really happy with those guys stepping up and playing a really good football game.
For Jake in particular, like, he was a guy that, like, you guys, there was a lot of talk about him in spring ball, and how just like he was coming on, and I don't think maybe on defense he hasn't played maybe as much as you might have, like, at least me personally, I would have kind of anticipated back then, I guess. So what has this season been like, and to answer the call in a game like that this late in the year?
Yeah, I think he was a guy that is emerging. His body has changed drastically. His football knowledge, his skill level, and the thing about him in camp that you noticed was whatever position we asked him to play, he was going at 100 miles an hour. So I think we had full confidence that, hey, if we need you to play edge this week, you can play edge. If we need you to play inside backer, you can play inside backer. If it's Mike, if it's Will, if it's special teams. He's just done a really good job of asking or, you know, executing whatever we've asked him to do. And I think moving forward, he's going to be a big part of defense in this program.
We talked about tubes a lot, and I know, like, this is senior day. So what for you? What's your from the first time you met Alexander to now? Like, what stands out to you about that guy, and what do you maybe appreciate about him most?
I think, you know, as you think when you first meet him, you don't exactly know who he is. You know, he's kind of quiet initially. As you get to know him, I appreciate his dry sense of humor. Obviously appreciate his work ethic, how he goes about the game of football, how he practices, how he carries himself on a day-to-day. He trains like a pro. He preps like a pro. I just appreciate everything about him. I mean, there's not much to not like. You know, he pushes coaches. You know, he's a guy that's up here, and he's maybe watching film and asking questions before we've even got to him. So I appreciate him for the sense of urgency that he gives us, the way that he makes us over-prepare, because for guys like him and Marco, if you don't have the right answers for those guys, like, it's a problem, because they want the answer. They know there's an issue. They want to know how you want them to do it. So for those guys and guys like Tubes, keeping us ahead of the game, keeping us on our toes all the time, really appreciate that about him and some other guys like Marco and some guys like that.
I'll ask you a similar question about Ahmed Hassanin, and what's it been like to get to know him and see where, you know, he entered this program and how he's about to lead this program. Is pretty wild.
Yeah, I think, you know, the thing you appreciate about Ahmed is, number one, he's happy every day. Like, there's a smile on his face. He's grateful to be here. He's grateful for his teammates. I enjoy talking to him because there is a little bit of a language barrier yet. Not because he doesn't know really good English, because he does. It's just some of the slang and some of the, you know, terms of endearment may not be second nature to him. So I enjoy, you know, maybe even trying to get him with a few things that he might not know. And I appreciate about him also that even though highly regarded in the country as a really good football player, he's trying to learn. He is trying to master his craft every single day. He knows that there is some gap between guys that have played football for 15 years and guys that have only played football for 2. So he works extra hard. He puts it into overdrive to make up for that deficiency. And he's one of the guys that studies film the hardest, and he works the hardest in practice, and he tries to master his technique. And I don't think that'll ever change about him.
There's been a lot of focus on Ahmed and Jaden this year, but Max now a few sacks in the season. Just how has he grown this season, and how has he really put himself into position to be the future at the edge position for you guys?
Yeah, I think Max is another guy like Ahmed, that he understands, I haven't played football as much as some of these other guys. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, Max takes probably better notes than anyone I've ever seen in the history of coaching football. He's writing down stuff that has nothing to do with him. We might be in a meeting, I'm talking to the DBs, hey, quarters, man, stay off that dig right there. He's quarter, stay off the dig. He wants it so bad, and then to see the success that Jaden and Ahmed have had, he wants to mirror in their footsteps. And like every great player, he wants to reach where they've got, and then he wants to try to go past that. He knows he's a young guy. He knows he's got the ability, so the future is bright at that edge position.
Before my actual question, you said there were some slang terms that Ahmed sometimes gets a little confused on. Do you remember any of those words or terms?
No, sometimes, he'll come in and they'll just be like, hey, man, what's the word on the street to him and Max? And they're like, I don't know what the word on the street is. You know what I mean? It's it's just things, just little things like that. And I appreciate having a little friendly banter with those guys.
So just the senior class as a whole, just what can you say about this group of seniors and what they've done for Boise State in this program?
Yeah, I think the senior group last year had a lot of special guys in it. And then this senior group, I got to Boise State, and obviously last year was one of the, probably rockiest times in Boise State history. Not that there hasn't been other ones, but that was a very rocky time. And I think that this senior group embraced that, got it through, saw it to the finish last year, did a great job of finishing the season out. And then as soon as that was over, these guys took it upon themselves to say, that's not good enough. That's not what we're training for. We have a bigger goal in mind, and we have a lot of football left. We've got 2 guaranteed games left. Wherever the chips fall, these guys gave their blood, sweat, and tears for Boise State. It was always about the team with them. It was always about the community. It was never about individual success. They were always team success over individual success, and those guys are going to be successful lifelong.
Not to put you on the spot, Spencer says he's going to write letters for all the seniors. Do you have anything special or different that you have planned for them, or is it just going to be tears and a hug?
Yeah, I don't know if there'll be anything on senior day. That's always a hard one for me, but definitely I usually like to get together with the guys after they're done playing, wherever that's at my house or we go somewhere. But, one time when they can not be player and coach, we can be peers finally. So that'll be a good time for me.
Actually, they're going to one-up them like crocheting in a blanket or something.
Yeah, I don't know if that's my cup of tea, and no time for that right now.
How about a guy like Sheldon Newton? And I kind of use this example with Dirk with Cam Camper, but for a guy like him to use the transfer portal and really seem to find a home and have the best years after he used it, I don't know. There's so many ways to interpret the transfer portal at times, but for a guy like him to use it and it feels like it ends well for him, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think obviously you guys probably see a lot more of the ugly side of the transfer portal than most people because you study the guys that are in there and where they end up. Fortunately for guys like Cam and Sheldon and many others in our program, sometimes you just need a second chance, or you just need to find a better fit, or you just need to, like in Sheldon's case, he needed to move himself maybe up a level to see where he fit. And the thing about Sheldon is that was always going to make him successful. is he is an unbelievable human being. He is a great person. He's a great friend, a great teammate. He's very talented. He just needed to learn how good he was. And I think he didn't know when he first got here. He didn't know how to train, how to eat, how to watch film, how to work out, what technique to use. After he mastered those, the football was easy. But really going to miss him just being around him every day.
I think after the Utah State game, you guys were scoring at will, and I remember you saying something like you felt like the defense kind of let their foot off the gas at times at the end of that game. And then on the flip side of that, you get locked in defensive battle against Wyoming. Do you see your guys? I mean, I know we like to pretend the score doesn't matter, but it's just kind of the nature of it where it does. Do you see your guys dig in a game like that and really execute when you absolutely have to execute?
Yeah, I think, which sometimes isn't great, but I think that, when those games get a little out of hand, human nature takes over a little bit, which we all wish it wouldn't. But when it's crunch time, I think that those guys really know how to operate and they really step up. And the thing that's really good about this team is we knew we were going to have to stop the run. There's been other games where we knew we were going to have to stop the pass. These guys are going to do their job. I've been around teams where it's really hard to get my job done, so I'm going to take the easy way out and I'll get it next time. These guys are not going to do that. They're going to do their job because they know 10 other dudes are counting on them. 90 other guys are counting on them, but the 10 on the field. So, and if something comes up on the iPad and we ask them to do it differently maybe than we've even practiced, they're like, "Gotcha, coach, no problem." It's just that this group can operate in a crunch time, it's pretty cool to watch.
What do you miss by not having Andrew Simpson in the lineup on game day?
Yeah, I think so. Having Marco in there, there's zero drop off at all. But we all know that Andrew has a tendency to make a lot of splash plays, whether that's an interception at a crucial time or a sack. He just has that knack, and some players do, where you need a big play and all of a sudden one's going to come to them. So I think you miss a few of those splash plays, but otherwise I think the guys have stepped up and done a great job, and it'll be great getting Andrew back in the lineup. It'll be great to get Tubes back in the lineup. We've got good players all around. We've got good backups, but having everybody at full strength, we can rotate more. And like I said, those two guys have a tendency to find some splash plays around.
In the spirit of Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for, Erik?
Well, you're always thankful for my faith, my family, my football. I told these guys the other night, thankful for them. Thankful for whatever reason I got put in Boise, right? And just like we talked about, had a very tumultuous time in Boise football, but for some reason, God put me here, and it's been a blessing ever since.
What's your Thanksgiving plate look like?
My wife makes turkey. Usually, we got a little mashed potatoes. She makes an onion gravy. I don't know if you guys ever had that. That's unbelievable. A little stuffing, some vegetables, probably a little pie.
Is it flawed that Spencer doesn't like stuffing? Apparently, he's not a big stuffing guy.
That's going to be a major issue if he comes over to my house, but we'll probably let him pass. Head coach exemption.
Thanks, Coach.
Sweet.
All right.
Thanks, Erik.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Erik.